Welcome back to another video where I turn stuff into garum. Now, I'm not officially calling this a series, but we are a few videos deep now. And in the past, I've made raw beef garum, rotisserie chicken garum, oyster garum, and a mushroom soy sauce, which was basically a garum. And for those who are new here or don't know what a garum is, it usually refers to ancient Roman fish sauce, which is made from oily fish like mackerel. The entire fish, heads, body, and guts, was mixed with salt and then just left out in the hot sun. Now the salt helps to prevent the fish from going bad, and it also draws out the moisture from the flesh. And the enzymes in the digestive system of the fish breaks down the fish proteins into amino acids, turning it into a fishy, umami-rich golden liquid. Now that's the traditional way to do it, and it's also the same way Asian fish sauces are made even to this day, but they usually use anchovies. But there is another, slightly more controlled way to make garum, and that's what I've been doing in my videos. By using rice koji, which contains protease, salt, and a high temperature, I'm able to take pretty much any protein and break it down into amino acid umami goodness, creating what pretty much always looks like soy sauce and does kind of taste a little similar, but each one still has its own unique little twist. Now today, I'm going to be turning beer into garum. And to explain how I'm planning on doing this, let me take you back a few steps. At first, I wanted to try making garum from yeast, since a quick Google tells me that yeast has a protein content of like 40 to 60% in dry form. But a little more research tells me that brewing yeast is one of the higher content protein yeasts. So my original idea was to take some off-the-shelf brewing yeast and then turn that into garum, which would be interesting in itself. But I also wanted to make an actual beer garum using yeast that's been already used to make beer. I think the addition of the hops would probably make for something that would be quite interesting. And from my little knowledge of beer brewing, I know that there should be a whole bunch of dead and settled yeast at the bottom of a beer fermenting tank after it's done fermenting. And with those two ideas in mind, I reached out to two companies here in Korea. Biocraft, who are a producer of brewing yeasts and other live products for brewing, and Nomadic Brewing, who are a local craft brewer out of the beautiful city of Jeonju. Now, I had previously bought a small pack of lactobacillus from Biocraft in the past, and it worked great for what I wanted. For the raw brewing yeast, I messaged Biocraft and asked what they think would make a good garum, something with a high protein content, and they sent me a large bottle of their American ale yeast to use. As for Nomadic Brewing, I had visited their brew house on a trip to Jeonju last year, which I will link in the description, where I also met the founder, Johnny, who I simply asked if I could have a bit of the sludge from the bottom of the fermenter once the beer had been extracted. And he quite happily obliged, sending me a few liters of sludge from a batch of their glamping cream ale. I received the Nomadic Brewing beer sludge first, which came in the form of a few 1-liter bottles packed in a cold styrofoam box. Now, I really shouldn't have shaken this bottle up before opening, since this was still live yeast. And even with the cold packaging, these bottles did build up a fair bit of pressure and spray everywhere. But slowly, one by one, I managed to empty out each bottle into a pitcher, which promptly started foaming up quite a bit. So I gave it a little mix just to knock back a few of the bubbles, and then transferred it into this hotel pan, which I've set on a scale so I could calculate how much salt and how much koji rice I need to weigh out. Using the weight of the beer sludge, I'm gonna calculate 10% salt and 20% rice koji. And I won't be adding any extra water to this one since it's pretty much already liquid. I'll blend everything together and then transfer it into a glass fermenter. Add a bag of salt over top to minimize air surface contact, and then set it in my heat chamber at 50 to 60 degrees Celsius. I also followed the exact same process for the Biocraft yeast. I transferred it into a glass container while measuring the weight, and then calculate 10% salt and 20% rice koji. I blended everything together and then placed it in the heating chamber as well. I left those in there for about a month, after which I took them both out and began the process of separating the liquids from the solids, which is usually quite straightforward when the solids in the garum are quite big and solid, but I'm working with microscopic yeast here, which made this process a little bit more tedious. I started with the Nomadic beer garum, which I poured into a colander I'd lined with a cheesecloth. I scooped some of the garum into my screw press and then began pressing the liquid garum out. But because the superfine yeast was clogging up the cheesecloth, it was pretty hard to press out a lot of the liquid. And when I removed the solids from the press, it was still quite liquidy as well. So I think I definitely could have pressed more out if I had a stronger press or more time. As for the Biocraft garum, since it was pretty much pure yeast, using my screw press was not as useful as I'd hoped, since the yeast kind of just flowed through the cheesecloth. So I separated as much as I could with the press and then put the rest into the fridge overnight to cold crash and settle the yeast to the bottom. Then I could simply pour the garum from the top of the jug, leaving the yeast in the bottom. Now, after that whole ordeal of filtering out the garums, I managed to get just over 1.5 liters of nomadic beer garum and just over 500 milliliters of Biocraft American Ale beer yeast, which I poured into a couple of plastic bottles to store before I could get around to tasting them. So I've been sitting on these for quite a few weeks now since I actually finished them in the clip before. And if you're wondering why I've only got this much left, I've actually decanted some of this because I'm gonna send it back to Biocraft and Nomadic just to see what they think of it too. But let's try it for myself first. It has been a few weeks since I finished making these, but I have not given these any taste at all. I've smelled them plenty and they smell really interesting. So I'm really excited to see how these are gonna taste as well. So I think I'm gonna start off with the Biocraft first, just because it is sort of like the plain yeast. I feel like this would give me like the most pure yeasty garum flavor. And then we'll do the Nomadic, which has all of the hops and anything else that goes into their glamping, creamy ale beer that they make. It smells almost like deep, rich, I wanna say chocolatey, you know, as well. Because it kind of has that like hot chocolatey, deep richness to it, cocoa. Just get a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of this. I wouldn't say that's yeasty at all. Wow. For a second, I thought I was tasting ginseng as well. This is probably one of the most interesting ones because I can't really put my finger on exactly what it tastes like, but it tastes like so many different things. And then there's all like a hint of like Marmite, Vegemite type flavor in there, which makes sense because those are also, Marmite is a yeast extract, but it's super deep, super rich, dark, caramelly, chocolatey, I also want to say as well. Really interesting. And that's just from the plain sort of just pure beer yeast too. Weirdly enough, it kind of reminds me as well of like a grilled fish, but no fishiness at all. Just sort of like that grilled-iness that you get from like a grilled fish. But let's try Nomadic. Wow, this one's already smelling like fruitier, which is definitely from those hops. I'm not sure which hops go into this, but I think it's fun not knowing what goes into this as well. It is very similar, but at the same time, it feels smoother as well, but lighter and smoother. And you know, it could be because it's a less concentrated mix of yeast, because this was ultimately the sludge at the bottom of the fermenter, whereas this is basically kind of like the pure yeast. But if I was to like compare these, this is like dark soy sauce and this is like light soy sauce. So this is great for dipping and stuff, but this is like good for cooking. I would say these ones are also very usable as well. If you are a home brewer, I would say this is a great way to sort of use up that sludge in the bottom of your fermenter, is if you can get a hold of some koji and then also hold it at a high temperature for that long. I think it's really clean, but also really complex as well. Really deep, really umami. This is probably one of the deeper ones that I've made. And I think it's worth it. I'm really excited to see what the others think of this as well. And with that said, that's the end of this video. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. If you have any more ideas that you would love to see covered in these videos as well, you can leave a comment down below, and I will see you in the next video.